Okay, so morning again. This is Ben, and that's my wonderful Himalayan or Himalayan. So today's video is going to be about adjusting the valves, doing a small clearance check. I have run about 7,000 or 8,000 odd kilometers now since the last time I checked the valves. That being said, this is from the last trip, a wonderful off-road session. I would be posting a video of that soon, but until then, this is going to be something that all of you would enjoy watching, because I'll make it look real simple. On a side note, these are the tools that you need for the job. You need a tappet adjuster, and you need feeler gauge. Feeler gauge is nothing but a bunch of metal leaves or blades inside this bracket or housing, and each of these blades are different thickness, different gauge, and all you need to do is find out 0.09 mm thickness from one of these blades for your inlet valve clearance, and 0.23 or 0.24 for your exhaust. A slightly loose exhaust tappet setting is totally fine. It will help with a nice free revving motor, and it will keep the exhaust temperatures kind of low. So this is good. That's my toolkit for jobs like these, and the tools that you require are: this is a specific tool to adjust the tappets. If you can see that, I'll put this to use and then show it to you. What you need next is a wrench like that with size 10. Yeah, that would be it. You need this, you need these tools here, and the rest of the tools these are the only two tools that you require, because you have that angle here. This would be an angled wrench. I don't know what I should be calling it, but any which ways you need this so that you can get into the valve covers and then hold the adjusting nut in place once you've tightened things, and then with this you can adjust the valves. And sorry, missed out on the most important tool for today's exercise. This is called a feeler gauge. This is metal leaves in different gauge, different thickness. So we will have to use 0.09 and 0.23 for inlet and exhaust respectively from that. So that's the special tools that you require for the job. You can get these tools anywhere from a local spare parts tools shop. That's about it. And the rest of the tools is just to go about undoing the tank, and then to twist and turn the crank you need a coupler. Okay, so as you guys can see, this in here is the rocker cover. If you can see that, there's a hole here and a hole here. These two have two bolts, 8 millimeters, and you have a similar cover on this side as well. So you have the inlet valve here and the exhaust valve here. Inlet and exhaust tappet settings are to be done in here. This would be I guess a 6 millimeter Allen key, which helps with removing these two bolts here. You're doing this to rotate the crank to get the piston to come to top dead center. That's how you go about rotating the crank. That's the O-ring that seals this particular portion, and the rest of it is just more like a cap. And next what we need to do is open this nut here, and that's a 17 millimeter nut. Yeah, so that gets the job done. You have to be careful about this copper washer. Kindly sand it gently before you put it back so that it has a perfect seal. Now if you can see, you'll see the magnet of the flywheel here. Once you rotate the crankshaft, you'll have a small T mark come up in a line. Just show you guys in a minute. So as you guys can see, the next thing to do is use an 8mm I don't really know what this can be called, but I think it's an angled wrench or an angle wrench, whatever, and then remove these bolts that hold the cover, the rocker cover, and it's pretty easy. These bolts will not be super hard to undo. The right tool matters a lot for you to be able to go in and then remove them like that. Yeah, once that's done, you can use your T-spanner and just undo these bolts. Okay, you get the idea. So once I'm done with, I'll just open these up and then show to you what I am about to do next. Be very, very careful when you take these out. The best thing for you to do is clean the upper surface of the engine, or these two covers and areas around, just so that you know that you don't have dirt falling in later into your engine. Okay, so once that's done, the next job is to rotate the crankshaft and to get the T mark in there. And here we go. I don't know if you guys can see. Things moving in there. Perfect. Okay. So one tiny bit more of twisting the crank and you see the T mark. If you can see a T mark in there. Yep. So align that T to this arrow that you see here. I don't know if you guys can see, but there is a mark here on the engine casing. Align the T to this, and what you have with you is valves that can, or tappets that make this noise, and you can hear them loud and clear. That's the exhaust, and that's the inlet. Okay, so I can move both of them. Now, if this piston is not in top dead center, you will not be able to move those tappets. The most ideal setting for the inlet and the exhaust would be 0.09 for the inlet and 0.23 for the exhaust, both being in the middle of the range that is allowed. I think factory recommends 0.08 to 0.1 inlet and 0.2 to 1 to 2.5 or something exhaust. So we're kind of trying to figure out something right in between, so that you have longer intervals before you check the valves for the next time. And also it's good for a single cylinder engine that you keep the tolerances not towards the loose end of the spectrum. So 0.09 and 0.23 would be a perfect setting. Now, coming back to my leads, I don't really have a 0.09 with me, so what I would do now, okay, so if you guys can see, I have a, I don't know if you can see, I have a 0.102. Doesn't want to zoom in. Anyways, this is a 0.1 and this is two put together, 0.076 and 0.152. I'll add pictures of these. These two put together take up for the exhaust clearance, and this one here is slightly wider for the inlet, but anyways ways I'll kind of tighten the nut a little more, just a tiny bit more to fit this. So it's a 0.102. We were looking for 0.09, but this is 0.1. There would be a minuscule level of a difference there, but anyways ways I'll just be very careful while I get that done. Anyways, these two go into the exhaust and this goes into the inlet. Yeah, you guys can see now, quite loose. Do I have some more play after this? No, I don't, but that's about it's very, it's kind of in the right area. I really don't have any play, and metal moves kind of freely in there. Do I want to tighten it? No, I'm pretty happy with the way things are. I don't think my exhaust is does need any kind of an adjustment. A slightly freer exhaust valve is always good. Perfect. Again, goes in with decent amount of resistance. The valves haven't moved a bit since the last time. Maybe slightly loose, slightly. So the inlet turned out to be one tiny bit loose. Any which ways, I'll just reconfirm things. What you do now is you need the special tool and you need your ring spanner. So this goes in here like that, and what you need to do is slightly loosen the adjusting nut that you see there. So once you have the adjusting nut loose, you can now go in with a special tool and it's a little tricky to do with. I'll just place this and then show to you guys how to go about tightening it. If you guys can see, all the adjustments required done. This is the tension with which you want the inlet valve's blade, which is a 0.102 to come out. You want this to come out with that much resistance. Now once you've achieved that, don't let the tappet adjustment nut to become loose. Hold the adjusting tool right there, and then with this you can tighten the lower adjusting nut. So now that you have well, that's taken care of the adjustment for both the valves. I haven't touched the exhaust valve because it was in the right position. I'll just show to you what I mean. So if you guys can see, this guy here, this fellow on top, that has to be held in place with this fellow, and then you use the 10 mm wrench to adjust this nut, this one, and tighten it fully, and your job's done. So loosen that nut first, use this on the top, tighten, loosen to get the right clearance, and then hold it in place while you tighten the lower nut. That's as simple as it is. That's valve check done successfully. Some tips now for you to get the putting these things back part right. Just like I said, these O-rings, they kind of need some kind of how do I say, more like a friendly touch to them. Just wiggle them around and kind of press hard onto them. Rubber has a memory. If it's compressed for a really long time, it might not be able to come back to its elasticity quickly. So this exercise kind of gets it back to its full potential. And yeah, that's all you need to get your perfect seal on the second one. Now, yeah, as you can see, the rubber is starting to wear here. This o-ring is almost on the verge of quitting. What I could do with this fellow is reverse it. Just put it back on the other side, and I have a fresh side now. There you go. Nice and firm. Yep, that's job well done. Put back the bolts. So I'll connect with you guys once I have everything put back in its place and the engine up and running. Cold start again. That's how the motor sounds. Neat, isn't it? Well, I did not do anything to the valves, guys. I just reconfirmed my inlet settings. I loosened everything. I put back the metal blade in between the in the right gap where you're supposed to put it. I don't really know what I should be calling that. And I just redid the adjusting nut. That's about it. Nothing more to it. My valves hadn't moved one tiny bit since the last time, so all's well. And that's how the motor sounds. About 10-12 seconds of idling, and then you can do that. Pretty clean, pretty neat. I'm very happy with what I did. Is because it was starting to bug me, the fact that I hadn't checked the valves in a really long time. So now this comes to a wonderful end. Yep. So if you guys liked the video and if you got anything out of it, just the mere thought to go ahead and do it by yourselves on your machine is fantastic acknowledgement for all this work that I'm trying to put out on my channel. So see you guys on another one. Until then, ciao, bye.